Ta-da! I think it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm just
I
gonna
should
write
try to see if we're there somewhere.
it. Okay, Linda.
Okay, Lotte.
I don't know why I always get the giggles with you, but hey.
It's because of the nature of the beast. We laugh together.
I
We
know,
share we
I know.
share lots of things, but we also share laughter, and
Yeah,
that's our common.
absolutely, absolutely. And I really want to say thank you so much, Linda Leclerc, Queen of Laughter Yoga in Canada.
Canadian.
Yeah, you can do your laugh like a Brit laughter
If
from
no,
from
sorry.
your little app. You may mention your little app at some point as well. But I really want to, first of all, thank you so much for joining me here for Impromptu Conversations, which in fact you and I started very impromptu, very differently than what I'm doing right now.
We're wearing the same T-shirt. That was a fun conversation.
Oh, that was really funny because it was just out of nowhere, wasn't it? But today we'll talk a little bit about laughter, yoga, and grief. But
Yeah.
I just remembered by you doing the, I remembered your laugh like a Brit laugh on your little.
Oh yeah, that's in the video that I did for you. Hell, 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 hell.
And I wanted, and I wanted to just very quickly, if you want to mention your app, because it's really brilliant. I remember I used to just put it on. I couldn't join in, obviously, but I used to put it on when I was on long journeys, and it would just play, and I would listen to you laugh and laugh along.
Yeah, you're right. There, that's what it looks like. Destination Rire. Let's laugh. There you
Yeah,
go.
let's laugh is what it's called in English, isn't it? Let's laugh,
Let's laugh.
and it's just great, isn't it?
Very small thing right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. So so you can buy it in the iPhone
Yeah,
store
App
or
Store and
App
Google
Store.
Play. It went back on the Google Play store, whatever they call that, because
Yeah.
they weren't happy because the French and English were too similar according to them. I kept telling them it's not the same. One is French, one is English. It's not the same.
Definitely not the same, and I'm sure
Oh
that
well,
French and
but
British
it's there. Yeah.
would say,
I think it's convenient because when you need and you can just play your favorite ones and then you have support and company to laugh.
yeah, absolutely, and that was really what I found. That it was great, great company when you're driving by yourself or so, and sometimes you don't necessarily want to just listen to music or so. Not that it ever happens, but it is a great alternative, and I just love listening to it.
Thank you.
Made me laugh as well. Laugh along.
Thank you.
So to everyone watching, just look it up. But yeah, so that was all the advertising for now, wasn't it?
There you go. No need to promote
So
anything.
so actually this is quite a serious conversation in many ways. And it's quite interesting because one of our colleagues recently passed away a couple of days ago, as I understand it, and it really brought back again this whole thing about grieving and laughter yoga and so on. And I know it's not just about laughter yoga, but in some ways, in the context of laughter yoga, we're very supportive for each other. But it's often you pay your respect with a comment on the post about someone who's left this world, and then you're stuck with maybe your own thoughts on what's happened or that person, and maybe it's not necessarily about the other person, but about what the loss represents. That some things that we may not have grieved when someone else has passed away, or so, because we're so engulfed in laughter yoga and laughter that we forget to actually also so give ourselves a little bit of time to be vulnerable and be grieving and so on. So I wanted to
Be
talk about
human.
this.
Hmm.
Yeah, because you also go through lots with friends. We all have friends who are in different at different stages in life and so on. And I think you've probably had quite a few friends who you're supporting and so on. So do you want to say something about your thoughts on this?
Well, it's funny that when you mentioned that about our colleague passing lately, and I immediately thought of a dear friend who took the teacher training with me in 2005, and she transitioned about, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Once in a while, I see pictures of us because we always kept in touch, and I was quite close to her. And she was a beautiful soul, very generous, very like a beautiful and balanced human being with like everything and when I heard that she was no longer with us, I started to cry, and I said, "Allow me." It's funny because I almost told her, "Allow me to cry the fact that I will never ever hear your beautiful voice again, or your giggle, or just to say, 'Oh, Linda,' when I was calling, 'Oh, Linda.'" So and it's important because this is a part of the human experience, and that's the face that I saw, Gail, when you said that. And once in a while, when I see pictures of us, I I'm still feeling sadness, and I don't. What's the word? I do allow myself. I don't repress. Is that a word in English?
Suppress, yeah, repress is a word, but suppress is probably the right
Suppress.
word.
So I don't suppress it. I allow myself to go there because
Yeah.
this is a part of the process. So I allow myself to go to enjoy sadness for a while, and then to celebrate the beautiful person she was, the beautiful life she had, the beautiful color she left in my life. I think it's so important. So
Oh,
important.
definitely, definitely. And do you know what? This is the thing, what I mean, that it's so easy to be trapped in the whole idea that we need to laugh because we're laughter yoga
Yeah.
professionals. But you know what? The late great Annette Kurthard also said that when you're losing someone in your life, when you lose a person, you need to laugh or you need to cry between, I think she said 300 and 400 hours. And when you lose a pet, it's only 20 hours. I know that people would say, what? Pets are more important for some
Ah,
people. But the
I
thing is, you
don't think
can
it's
cry non-stop, but it's about allowing ourselves the time to grieve where it really is grieved out. And you can't laugh your tears away.
might be a pet also, same thing. Like I know that
Yeah, yeah.
when my dog was put to sleep, oh my gosh, I cried for
Yeah.
6 months. I would say that I was crying. And I think that this is just a myth that, oh, laugh it off, oh, laugh it off,
Yeah,
laugh instead of cry. Every time that someone tells me something like that, I almost feel like telling them, go to, because this is not sane. It's not being balanced. Like, I'm not going to laugh right now. My heart is broken for something. I am going to feel this. I am going to allow myself this experience. This is, my God, whenever someone tells me, like, okay, you know how to laugh, then laugh instead of crying, instead of being upset, even if, instead of whatever, laugh.
but the things you can't always, because one of the things is you can't laugh your tears away. You have to cry your tears away.
No,
It's
no.
grief. Yeah, it's grief. And this is why I think this conversation is really important, because a lot of people, and I used to be that as well, and I used to think, oh no, I need to laugh because I'm a laughter yoga professional, and at some point I felt like I felt so out of balance, and I
Yeah,
started crying.
exactly. That's not normal, and that's not sane. I keep going back
Right.
to that word because it's not sane. It's not healthy to not. I mean, whatever you don't allow to, whatever you don't express, like is going to come back at some point. So
Yeah.
if you don't allow yourself to just let out that sadness, those tears, that frustration, it will come back at some point, and
Yeah. It
maybe when
will.
it's not appropriate.
And not only that, because it may also manifest itself in ill health, whether it's physical or mental or emotional, because we're suppressing so much.
Yeah.
And some of the times you were talking about with your dog and so on, that you cried and cried and cried. And sometimes this is what I mean when we see those people passing on and so on from the laughter community. sometimes for me, it triggers something I haven't grieved enough from my personal life. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've had also in the UK, some of the people I've trained over the years and so on, where suddenly I see a notice saying, rest in peace. And, you know, it brings back all these amazing memories and so on. And that is what we need to treasure. But it's also being real about it, that we also need to let out that emotional release that it is to cry and to really stop.
Yeah.
And
I
when
think
we're done with that,
just
life is ready
healthy.
for us.
It's healthy. This is a part of life. I mean, yes, where I think that laughter helps when you're going through this is that, okay, it's I need to cry right now. So I feel that I need to be crying. I need to allow those tears to come out. I need that. I need to be able to process the sadness, the experience of not being able to see that person or of letting go of someone or something. And at the same time, it's like life goes on for me right now. I am still alive, and I can also celebrate life. So it's funny because I was sharing with someone the other day. I'm having once in a while, like when I'm experiencing something more difficult, I'm having really sad moments. But I feel my heart is still filled with joy. So when I'm crying, because okay, the example I gave you with Gail, when I'm crying that, oh, I miss you so much. I miss talking to you. I miss the contact that I've had with you because you are such uh, a smooth, loving, caring person in my life, and I needed that. Thank you for being there for me all those years. And now it's like, I feel, oh, I was so privileged to know you. I'm so lucky to have had you in my life. Thank you. And wherever you are right now, I know that you're hugging me in some form. I can feel
Oh,
that,
that
and
is
I'm
so
hugging you
beautiful.
back.
That's really
So I am grieving, but my heart is not like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but it's like, and I remember when I heard that she passed, I remember feeling exactly that. I cried a lot, but at the same time it's like, oh shoot, you left too soon. I would have loved to have you forever in my life. I guess that you were needed somewhere else.
Yeah, but you know what? You will have her forever in your life because you have all these precious memories. But
I
you know
know.
what? You also right about. I lost my trail there. Sorry.
Thank you. It doesn't happen only to me. And
What
some
was
like
I
that.
saying?
Oh,
What
this
was
was very interesting and it was very deep. Oh, I guess it was
it?
not.
No, I tell you what I was going to say was, you know, it's so healthy to, Linda,
Yes.
it's so healthy to get it out, isn't it? But those people who don't necessarily allow themselves to let it out through tears, it's often because we've heard things like, oh, you cried enough about that, or stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about, or whatever it is that people tell young people and adults as well for that matter. So it's giving ourselves permission, isn't it? Because otherwise it can grow into being regret and anger and bitterness and all that. And a lot of people, when we lose people in our lives, a lot of times it's like, oh, I should have said this, oh, I wish I'd done that, and so on. And that can for some people turn into that moment of, oh, and your grief becomes grief from a different angle, where it's all the things you should have done instead of all the things that we're celebrating about the person, isn't it?
Yeah. But I have to
So,
say that after a while, it's probably because we are laughter yoga professionals, but it's after a while, I just find myself thinking, oh, enough of that crying. Enough of that crying. Okay. So move on.
yeah.
And then
But you
once
know
in a
what?
while I
That
go
is
back
very
there.
well. But sometimes it surfaces again, and it's triggered by maybe some of the posts where we read, and it
Yeah.
triggers that grief again. And if we still have tears about it, it's because we haven't cried all those hours.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
I
cry
didn't know
400
that.
hours.
Like the 300 hours that you have to cry. My gosh, that's a lot of patience.
Minimum 300 hours. Yeah.
Minimum, okay.
Yeah, and it's because then you got out of your system. And how many people can say they actually cried so much about a loss? Yeah, and we're not just talking about losing people. We're talking about loss of health and loss of the friends who
Illusions,
don't
dreams.
necessarily pass on, but who we lose through just losing contact or with different
Yeah.
stages in life.
I was talking to a very wise older man, Fernand Dansereau, who's a cinematographer. Wow, that's hard to say. Cinematographer. A beautiful, beautiful human being. And he was telling me he's now 93 years old, I think, 92 or 93 years old, in that area. And I would say about 5 years ago, he was telling me that he is grieving so many things right now. Then he was grieving so many things, like he could no longer go play golf. So that was something that he said, I have to grieve this.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He said, I used to be able to drive for long hours. I no longer can do that. And so many things when you grow older, there are some things that I used to be able to do that. Now it's no longer available.
Yeah.
So that's also something like it was in the past, and now you have to let go of that part of your life. That's another part of, and you could go deep into like, I cannot do, no, I can't do that. Like, I know that I was clearing my archives this week. We've had a conversation earlier,
Yeah.
and I was telling you that I cried a lot because I was seeing so many things, so many things that I did in my past that it felt like, oh my God, has it been that long? Oh my God, that person is no longer here, or I miss these people, and it's also a part of you let go. So a part of you is grieving all that. But
Absolutely.
the other part is also celebrating everything. I think this is where the balance is, because if you just concentrate on, I need to laugh, I need to laugh, I need to laugh, I need to laugh. Like, this is okay, I don't want to touch this. I just will laugh. Let's laugh, let's laugh, let's laugh. So this is going to come back to you. If you
absolutely,
it's going to come
and it's
back.
going to be in balance, isn't it? Whether
And it's going to probably be bigger, because then it will like, she or he is not paying attention to me. I need to be released. This is still there.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And you know what? For some, it manifests itself in maybe in anger. So you have to go through anger management, or it could be some of that, or it could be depression, or other physical conditions. Yeah,
I
because
would
you
go
know
into
what, we store
depression.
up so much. Pardon?
I would certainly think that this could go in depression, because
Yeah.
you refuse to let these emotions say what they have to say to you.
Yeah. And you know what? Pain is there to, whether it's whichever type of pain, it's there to tell you where to pay attention, isn't it? And that's why, crying is like that amazing relief where,
Yeah.
when that knot you sometimes have, or I've had sometimes in the solar plexus area, and then suddenly being able to just cry and sob and so on. And afterwards it's like, oh, it's gone. And you can't always do that with laughter. And the thing is, people who only laugh really have serious problems.
Well, that's
You need
something
to
that we've
embrace
discussed
all
in the
the life.
past. Is you need to be able to go through everything in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find, and that's something that we've discussed in the past. Like, I've noticed that for some people, and laughter and laughter yoga is the ultimate answer to their requests or situation or problems. And it's a beautiful way. It's a beautiful answer, but it's not
But it's
the.
only part of the solution, isn't it? It's only part of it.
Yeah, it's like when you go, it's like when you go full, like, I'm no longer going to do this, I am this way now. at some point, if you don't allow yourself to cheat or to experience the rest, like this is, we're human beings, so this is all an experience.
But for some people, because some people say, oh, I can't cry, or I can't laugh, or I can't this, or I can't that. And we all have the ability. It's just something we may have really bottled up so long, so we forgot, yeah? And sometimes it takes, it takes for people to get into that laughter, for them to actually be able to release through tears. And the opposite way around. Sometimes we need to cry before we can actually get to the laughter. And
yeah, it could. Because I remember when I did my teacher training, this was like, it was then almost 7 days. Now it's down to 5 days, but it was almost 7 days in the old days. And I remember when I came back, I had a conversation with Alan Amira in Vancouver. And I was telling him that it's been 6 months since I did my teacher training. And every single time that I find myself starting to cry, I switch to laughter, because what I hear is this. And it's the same that when I do. So it was so bizarre because the motions, it felt like the motions were the same. So I ended up not being able to cry. I said, I feel sad, but I can't cry. So the minute that I hear myself like, I switch, because I hear myself. So I could not cry.
You need to do it bigger. You need to really stop. You really need to stop, because, and it's funny you say, because
I'm back to being normal now.
I know, yeah. But for anybody needs to really get into stopping, not just the because it's the equivalent to our social laughter that's up here, isn't it? So we really need to get into our body and feel the diaphragm, because the movement of the diaphragm for sobbing is the movement of laughing, and that's why it just flows, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember thinking, well, I might as well laugh. If it's the same, I might as well laugh. So I could not cry. But then
so what happened to change your mind there, or your way?
About what?
Oh, so what happened? Because you said you couldn't cry because it went from to laughing. Yeah. And then at some point there must have been something that happened that caused you to actually reconnect.
Because I remember telling Alan, I said, this is not normal. This is not normal, because I should be able to enjoy both crying and laughing. This is not normal. I feel that there is something wrong here. I don't know. I probably hit my foot on the bed. I remember, but I just know that I went back to crying because I was always I'm easily, I get easily emotional. So I don't know, I might have watched the movie like Bridges in Madison County or something like that. Yeah. Once in a while that happens to me, because I need to get some help.
And do you know what? That's okay, because that is a trigger, and that's where we can get rid of more of the tears and so on. And it's really important that we allow ourselves. I know lots of people who watch all these things and it doesn't faze them at all. And I'm like, really? Did you not cry? No.
Yeah, it depends. Really? I remember the first time that I saw the way we were, everybody was like, and that was, my gosh, she was wearing makeup. Yeah, sure. She wakes up in the morning, lipstick on like that. Yeah. And I was looking at the movie with an outsider. Second time I saw it, I was downstairs at my parents in their basement, and
oh, you were totally in it, weren't you? You weren't the outsider anymore. You were there.
So once in a while, yes, I guess that this helps, because I find the fun in things so much easier. It's so much easier now that I've been practicing laughter yoga for 17 years now, almost 18. So it's like I find the funny and the droll in things. I know it's not a word. It's just I'm thinking.
Oh, I understand it. I totally get it.
He kept saying, I failed to see the drollery in that. And I love that sentence, because he was looking at me sometimes and said, I failed to see the drollery in that. So I find the droll in situations way easier.
Oh,
But
great.
once in a while, yes, watching a very sad movie or a movie with dogs.
Oh gosh, yeah. Or even, adverts, when it's about it, we've had like for years we've had those donkey sanctuary adverts. And first you see how badly donkeys are kept and treated in, where they're just work animals, yeah. And it just makes me cry.
Mm.
It really makes me,
Well, that's
and it's
because
not
it
just like I,
triggers
I have to
something in
leave
you.
because I think, gosh, am I being over dramatic here? Because it really makes me so emotional.
And then you write them a big fat check to donate. Oh no, but seriously, going back to grieving, like I think that it's everything is very important. It's a crucial way to
Yeah,
go through life. If you refuse yourself that privilege, then you're missing something really important.
yeah. This is also why I think, the because I've been working with a carers group that has a bereavement group in there. It's called the Moving On group, and the reason it's called the Moving On group is because that's when they are ready. They've come out of their grief, and they
Mhm.
are ready to do something else. And that's when I go in and share laughter yoga with them, and they come into chair yoga and different things that they can do. But you can't push it. You can't force it through at a time when it's not the right time, because grieving has to take place. And even afterwards, even if people have the opinion that, oh, you've been crying enough about that, well, who are they to say? We all grieve in different ways, yeah. Mm.
Don't judge. Like you never know.
No.
That's interesting what you're saying. I know that I had a woman coming in my workshop one day. I can't remember the group, but she came. She sent me an email once the session was done, and she was telling me that her husband died about 4 or 5 months before, and she said I haven't been laughing since then. She didn't notice until then. And she says, I
Wow.
feel like it's like when you're under the water and then you go out.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
experience that. That's what she was describing. She said, I feel like I'm back in life again. And I thought that's exactly it. And as well, we both are doing this professionally. So every time that I'm going through something very hard or very sad, if I'm grieving a person or something,
Mm,
um, I'm human. So
absolutely.
maybe I'll tell people if it's at my laughter club, I'll tell people I got a very, very sad news. A dear friend of mine, or
Yeah.
either I say it before or I say it after, but I always allow myself, if it's with a group, I always allow myself to be imperfect.
Yeah, you know
Because
what? I think that's part of what makes us great facilitators as well, that we can step into what we do and still be human and vulnerable and so on. Because everybody experiences it. And, the other thing of it is that I have friends who lost some of their friends who I don't necessarily haven't necessarily known that much. But because I know my friend and know that they're only with loving, caring people in their lives and so on, it's just affected me just as much. Not maybe not as much, but a lot as well. So grieving on behalf of other people as well, isn't it? But it's and I feel that sometimes what we do with when we go into groups and we can really feel the pain of not just ourselves but other people who, like the woman you were saying who lost her husband and couldn't laugh and so on. The question is whether she cried enough or simply it numbed her, because you hear about people who get numb as well.
yeah, yeah, that too, exactly. Because
Mm,
it's like you go through life, but you're not there.
yeah,
It's numbness. That's exactly
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. And
So I
it's
guess that she was feeling like that. She's been feeling like that for a few weeks prior to our laughter session and then she said that I felt like I was going back into life.
mm, yeah. But the thing is, I mean, I think it's so important to also be able to talk about it, because you and I are talking about it now, yeah. but and some people may be listening or watching and so on and thinking, yeah, or nah, I can't be asked, or whatever people think, and that's what they're going to think, and that's okay as well.
Yeah.
But to have a platform where not only to share the thoughts when we lose someone in our community or in our life, and it touches on something maybe a little bit deeper for us, and another loss, or so could even be our own fear of that we are not immortal or anything, our own fear of dying maybe, and maybe also a platform for telling the little stories we remember from this person, because sometimes that's the way to also get through the grief, by sharing these little anecdotes or stories we remember. Oh, do you remember this? Or maybe you didn't know this, and this is how we did it, or something like that. Yeah. And I just think we don't get a chance with when there's a post and people just say my condolences, or rest in peace, the heavens got a new angel, and so on, which is so true. But maybe there's something else we need to share. And
Yeah.
I'd really like to have that platform for us in this community, because we do some amazing work, but do we heal ourselves? Do you know what I mean?
That's funny you say that, because I saw the face of a beautiful young woman who transitioned about maybe 10 years ago. I met her in Los Angeles at a conference, and then we saw each other once in a while at conferences in the United States. And Kate, oh my God, that woman was such a bright light in our world. And even if she's no longer here, I can feel her bright light to this day whenever I think of her. I have a video of her, and I keep looking for that once in a while. So I think that that'll be my mission for today, to find that video and share it with the world, because Kate was, she was a beautiful woman. Beautiful.
But this is where the light keeps shining, because it shines through you and probably other people who've interacted with her. But because we're talking about this, it's kind of coming up, isn't it? And that's the beauty of it. And this is what sometimes needs to come up, especially when we're facing other challenges, like we may have some health condition, or we may have really close friends or family who's going through, in particular, cancer or other things. And also with what's been going on over the past 4 months, I don't know anybody who's
not affected
alive because of the virus. Let's call it the virus, yeah. But there must be some people who know somebody, and have a lot of anger because of whatever is going on. Is there enough information? Is there too much information? Is there what? Yeah. And it's so, all the time we're bombarded with information. So do we actually get a chance to grieve this and grieve the situation at all?
Yeah, and process everything. I think that
exactly.
It's funny because yesterday I drove to spend some time with my brothers. I haven't seen the youngest one since Christmas, and I was with them, and I was looking at them, and suddenly my eyes filled with tears, and my niece was looking at me, and I said to her, I said, don't ever take anything for granted, because I took for granted that it's just 2 hours. I'll see them next week. If it's not this week, I'll see you later. We haven't seen each other for 6 months, almost 7 months. And this was hard for me. And then I realized that it's for many people who don't stop. You have to press pause at some point. Stop, just notice. Okay, so this, I need to address this, because if I don't, then it might translate into, like you said, into anger, into depression, into whatever. And right now, especially now, after being locked down for 4 months, or something like 4 months, or something that feels like 4 years.
It feels like 4 years.
I'm noticing that people, like, the behavior is really aggressive, not patient, egotistic. Like, people are like, they're careless. And it's like, what happened there? How come we're bringing out the worst? What's going on? And that's something, because it's really weird. It's really weird.
That's another thing, isn't it? Because it's almost like loss of freedom as well that we've experienced. Because you have a lot of loss of freedom of speech at the moment, where so much is being censored, that's being posted here and there and everywhere, and it's being removed again because of censorship. And that is loss of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Freedom of
Freedom of
speech.
speech. Don't tell me that I was able to say it and not you. What?
But these little things may also need a little cheer, don't they?
Yeah.
Because it's frightening as well, because our world is changing. But
Yeah.
I think it's like we're changing into something beyond what's going on right now. And all that anger and fear and worry is going to be a thing of the past at some point. But at the moment, it seems like it's just a really thick, like pea soup that we're trying to swim our way through, and it just doesn't happen. Every time we feel like, oh, I'm getting to the other side, something new comes up. Yeah, it's like
well, that's the same thing. If you transpose this, is that a word, transpose?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you transpose this situation into the grieving process, it's the same thing like I was telling you with the older man who's grieving the fact that he can't walk as fast, he can't go as far, he can't whatever, and that's the same. So right now it's like the way that we used to live in the past, it might never come back.
Exactly.
So we're grieving the idea that I was able to go in a store filled with people. Now I have to wait in line outside of the store. Yeah. I used to be able to go wherever and kiss people and hug people. Now I can't. So you're grieving all that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a reason why people like it. If you don't allow yourself the privilege or the time to be able to experience or to process the idea that this was then, it's not available now, it might never be available. So this was when this person was with me, now the person is no longer with me, the person might never come back the way he or she was, or maybe I'll never see or he whatever her again. That's the same process.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? It's scary that we may have to look at it in the same way of losing something, and maybe not the same way, but in a way of instead of getting angry and frustrated, to actually.
I don't see this as, I'm not scared of that. I'm just very nostalgic. So I allow myself. And because of that, I look at that and I miss hugging my brothers. I miss hugging my parents. I miss that. Like, I miss my friends.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying. But a lot of people have that complete fear of what's going on and so on. And it's instigated a lot by the governments and the media and so on. And I think.
So that's the thing. Instead of fearing, like, allow yourself to grieve.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to jump in that group, moving on.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And do something new with what's ahead of you or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me. It does to me, definitely.
It does to me too, but you don't see the comments. If someone is watching, like, hopefully it makes sense, because it makes lots of sense to me. It explains things, because seriously, I was looking at people and thinking, are these the same people who are very careful not to leave their house and go to groceries like once a week or once every other week? Or are these the same people that are now being so careless and rude and impatient? And
yeah. Do you have it's not going to be too much about this, because it's, I know it's about grieving that as well, but do you have the mask rule that you have to wear? Oh, okay. Yeah. So we can't even see people's smiles and faces and so on.
Well, you know what I did the other day? I was working, I don't have my mask right now here, obviously. I don't need it in my own office, but I have my mask.
No, hopefully not.
Because when I walk, like, I realize that my eyes are smiling most of the time.
Yeah. And that's where you should be able to, but you see so many eyes when you're smiling and you know your eyes are smiling. And so they're not.
Yeah, that's probably why people are smiling back at me so easily, because they see my eyes are smiling. So I was walking with, like, okay, normally I would be like this. And now I was like this. So you don't see my mouth. So I was walking and I did this, like, you don't see me, but I'm like this. The lady was across the street and I said, this is lovely what you're doing. I said, oh, thank you. And I was looking at her with a big smile and I said, oh, you don't see me, but I'm good to see a full face. Yeah, but we were at distance.
Oh. But that's the thing, you got to show a little bit of different facial movement, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what, I when I smile, I kind of like, because of the smiley eyes and so on, I also kind of like do a
So I might add this then. Oh, who knows what's going.
But that's one thing that we're never going to lose, is our smile and so on. Well,
No.
fingers crossed anyway. And
no.
But yeah, so
and we save so much on lipstick. Because like the lipstick stands, like it sticks on the fabric. It's like I would say the first 2 weeks that I was leaving the house, I always put lipstick on, and then I'm in my car, I'm driving, and then I put the mask on and I feel, why did I put lipstick?
Do you know what? It's so funny you say that, because I was at a few months ago, after lockdown started, yeah, I was invited to do a little after session, and we were chatting. This was like a women's group for empowering women, and we were chatting away. And then one of the ladies who organized it, she was saying, her husband had asked her, why do you put perfume on when you're going online? Oh. And you know what? It's like,
now that's a question of like, it's a second nature. You put perfume because you are feeling your normal self. I'm not wearing perfume for others. I'm wearing it for myself. It's like I put cream on my face, I perfume, then I can go. Who was saying that? It's like you don't need to dress the lower part of your body.
Oh, yeah, that was actually back in, I think it was late March or so. I read a little article from it was from Walmart, who Walmart experienced a huge increase in the sales of tops and a massive drop in the sales of bottoms, skirts and trousers and so on. Because
we're wearing pajamas. Like
or nothing, people just sit in their shorts or knickers or so. I don't know.
Well, that's something that I never like. We do business from home, so my business is in my home. So I always dress up. I always wear perfume. I always wear.
Yeah, the same. But you know what? The thing is, we wouldn't be able, if we run laughter sessions, we wouldn't be able to just wear a top, would we? Because we get up and we move around and so on. So
I wouldn't feel normal. I wouldn't feel normal.
I know.
It would be so strange. That's.
But I know a lot of people do it because it doesn't really matter. They can only see the top.
So right now we can sing that police song. Don't stand so. Don't stand so close to me.
You sing better than me.
Oh yeah.
Rock it, mama.
I don't know the rest of the songs. I could just. I could do gibberish police song.
Yeah. Do you know what? Gibberish is Gibberish is another way to really let out all these emotions, by the way, just to draw us back in, because it's a great outlet.
Sorry, because you say that, and I'm and I just saw myself. I was crying and I was trying to express an emotion that I was feeling to my husband, and I was like, and it felt like I'm not coherent here, so I might as well go full speed gibberish talking. So that's what I did. I went gibberish completely, like, okay. And then I felt better. He looked at me and says, I hope that you understood what you were telling me, because I sure did. The words,
but it's not always about what you want to say it's about getting the emotions out in some way, isn't it?
Exactly, because
And
that's
I
something
think a
that I
lot of
was
people
sharing with
do.
you.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think a
remember.
lot of people. Sorry.
You go. No, you. No, you. No, you. No. You. I was saying that 2 weeks ago, I was feeling like I wrote down. I was a part of a group on positive psychology over the last few weeks, and one thing that we had to do was to write every day three something, and at some point I posted something in the group, and I was sharing with them that I feel that my emotions are all over the place. I'm feeling so many things, and I cannot put words on my emotions. I cannot express them. I just can't. So I went for a walk, and then I started to. I have my mask on. But this is so difficult not to be able to. But at least I was able to let them out, let them live.
That is so important. I'm just thinking as well what you're saying, because if we cannot express those other emotions, and a lot of people store them up because maybe it's not the right time to say it, or maybe it's inappropriate, or maybe this, or maybe that. Yeah. So people bottle it up. Yeah. And if we cannot express this and really express all the different facets of all our emotions, how can we come to our authentic laughter?
Yeah.
You know, how can we authentically laugh where it's not just
yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to just do the motion constantly.
No.
And that's a very good point that you're saying that, Lotte. You're making a good point there, Lotte, because this is the difference, I think. When you're able to express your emotions, might there be a bit more difficult or challenging, then you're also able to express your joy and your laughter genuinely.
Yeah.
Because you I love the idea of a rainbow. The idea of a rainbow, like all colors together, they form something. So I don't want to put a specific color to a specific emotion, but it's all part of the rainbow. If you
Because
don't
it
have
all
all
blends
these
together.
colors, then it's not a real rainbow.
Mm.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it blends together and creates a different color, doesn't it? You know, when you blend the different
What?
colors and so on. Yeah. It's a great symbol for so many things, isn't it? The rainbow. Mm.
And you can't have a rainbow if it doesn't rain
No.
or shine.
Or shine,
You need to
yeah.
have both.
And that is such a great, what's the word, anecdote also for what laughter and tears is really about. It's like a rainbow. You can't have it without one or the other.
Yeah.
And you know, that authenticity comes through, that we allow ourselves to be vulnerable sometimes and feel like human beings, because that really is what we are in this life, isn't it? We have this human experience, and part of it is to go through maybe doing a little bit of boo hoo hoo and and then ha 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 ha. You know, so we need to express all of it. You know, the key thing about anger though is if we take it out on other people, that's when it becomes hurtful. That's why we should go and shout somewhere else. But again, we still need to get rid of anger just as much as tears.
It's like everything else. You need to find a way to be able to express them in an appropriate way.
Yeah, in healthy ways.
You're not going to unleash your anger on someone. Like, go cut some wood. Go in the woods, whatever. Jump on the floor. Do something that's not going to hurt anybody. And by hurting, it can be psychological.
Words can be really hurtful, can't they? You know, words can be so hurtful, and that's when it goes over the top. Yeah. But the thing is also, I mean, you wouldn't go up to a perfect stranger and say to them, "Can I borrow your shoulder for a moment?" You wouldn't do that, would you? It's again make it so it's suitable and well, maybe you would.
I don't know. Like you never know when this comes. Like it's a response to something, because I know that it happened to someone I know. She said and she said I didn't know that woman, and I'm sure that you've experienced that in the past. You just don't remember because it happened to me for sure. Like I didn't know the woman, and I started to cry, and she gave me her shoulder to cry for a minute. And I says, I'm so sorry, and I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you. She didn't know me. I didn't know
That is
her,
fantastic.
but that's so. Sometimes you just need a shoulder.
Do you know what? I have actually done it, but I've actually done it in a laughter session I was running. It was just the topic, and I just couldn't hold it back.
Yeah.
I was running 2 laughter sessions, the same content, yeah. And because it was really close to my heart, the second one, because I'd already been talking about it, and kind of like, then it got a little bit deeper. And in the middle of the session, I was just like,
Yeah.
I was to laugh. But you know what? They were so understanding because they had the same going on for them.
Yeah.
So it happens, doesn't it? It happens, and sometimes it's like we were talking about at the start, that it's being real, and it's being authentic, and it's having that vulnerability that lots of people can relate to, and not just close down. I can't believe we've been almost talking for an hour now.
I can, but if I tell you I have 15 minutes, we never take only 15 minutes. Never, ever, ever.
Do you know what? But we're not quite done yet. So let's just. No, we still have 6 minutes. That's like, lots of time, lots of, like you were saying, your friend who couldn't do the same thing. It's that loss of youth, isn't it, that we grieve as well. And sometimes we just plod along because it's life happening, and we sit down, and then next time we stand up, it's like, oh, that cracked a little bit more than last time, and we realize, wait a minute, years are passing by.
You grieve your illusions. You thought that things were going to be or that people were like this, and then they're not, or it's a lot of things. And I think that it's important to allow these emotions to go out, because I know that for some people that are very rational, and that's a question of once again, it's a balance, because someone very close to me has a way to deal with issues, like he processes things very quickly, as opposed to me. I need time to process things and to go through all the phases of the emotions. I'm upset, I'm sad, and blah, blah, and then I let go. For him, it's different. He's asking, like, can I have an impact on this? I'm really upset with this. Can I change something? If I can't, then let's go. Okay, move on. He can do that way faster than I can. And every time that he sees me and I share something with him, it's always like, well, and I tell him, no, darling, this is not.
But you know what? It is a really good, even if it takes longer, it is the outcome, isn't it? It's that thing around, can I do anything about it? Yes, do it. If I can't, then move on, But that moving on process, maybe it is the same outcome, but it's just a little bit longer for you. And that's why we're so individual, isn't it? And I love that.
Might be a day, 2 days, a week for me to process something. And for him, it's like an hour. An hour, and then he moves on. Like sometimes it's like, okay, do you want to talk about this? It's why.
And sometimes we can talk things to death as well, but it may still be there because we haven't cried about it. But just to just finish with, is there anything you'd like to leave people with here at the final minutes?
We don't see if someone posted a comment or a question. Do you see that?
I don't see it until after. So I could go back and see.
I'm going to try to see if someone had a question, and then I can.
No, there are only 2 comments I can see at the moment. So
okay, very good. So, well, maybe the only thing that I would like to say is, like, do allow yourself the privilege, the pleasure, the joy of experiencing all that. It's all a part of life, and it's very, very important. And to make a human experience whole, you need to be able to feel all that. And this, I think, is making all of us better persons, better human beings, because then you can resonate with what the other people are experiencing as well. Not to tell them what to do, but to just feel that this is a process. It might take longer for some, and this is a process, and it's important. And sure, laughter and laughter yoga, laughter is a beautiful, amazing way to release pent up emotions and stress. And it's a beautiful way. It's a beautiful way.
Yeah,
and the more you practice, the deeper your joy is.
and the
But
deeper
that doesn't mean that you don't experience all the rest, all the other emotions. It's nope.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It just makes us more whole and complete, doesn't it, in the end, to allow ourselves. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That was so, so nice.
I'm so happy that you invited me, the Lotte.
Oh, and thank you so much for having the courage or grace or whatever we choose to call it to discuss laughter and grief. Because it is a topic where often people try to avoid it because no, we're laughter people here. And I think it's so important to have somewhere where we can discuss it and share the little stories and anecdotes.
I think that I couldn't laugh as much as if I didn't allow myself to cry also.
And you know what? The HAHA Sisterhood is actually, we haven't talked about the HAHA Sisterhood because we've done that before, yeah. But the HAHA Sisterhood is a great group for also, I know it's mainly women, yeah, but it's holding each other, isn't it? I love that our pin, yeah, which is the clothes peg, which is strong, and if you twist it, it's that vulnerable. I'm not wearing it. I got it right here in front of me.
I wear it all the time. That's the jewelry that goes on myself every day.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And even if it's just for women, like it goes out to the rest of
us, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
By taking care of ourselves, we also take care of each other.
Yeah, that is the best of all, isn't it? So, Linda, thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Lotte. Thank you, darling sister.
Love you lots, and I'll see you soon again. Yeah.
Love you too. Bye.
So I'm going to close down now. No, you go first. No, you go first. See you soon.